Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Abby Johnson here with Matterhorn Business Development. I am joined, as always, with my father and CEO, Greg Winteregg. We are so excited. We are, we don't do many live streams, but we want to start doing more. So we're hopping on, testing this out. So if you've been following us and you want to hear us chat about some specific things live, it's a little different than the pre-recorded format. So let us know what you want to hear us talk about live. We can get Neil in on this as well. And then, of course, please comment and let us know that you're watching. Let us know where you're watching from. So today I wanted to talk to Greg a little bit about his journey, because if you are watching this, you most likely are somewhat familiar with Greg and what he's done, but you might not know his whole story. It's it's pretty interesting. I think a lot of ups and downs, a lot of perseverance, mostly ups more than downs, I should say. So, where I want to start, Dad, is the beginning, which is kind of like where you first experienced or saw what it was like to be a business owner and an entrepreneur, which was with my grandpa, your father. So why don't you talk a little bit about what that was like growing up in your parents' restaurant?
Yeah, so I was raised in a little town of 3,000 in Indiana. Winteregg, by the way, is Swiss. We actually all have been to Winteregg Mountain in Switzerland. It's in the central part of the country near Interlaken. And so our ancestors go all the way back to Switzerland. And I was raised in Bern, Indiana, which was founded in 1850 by ancestors of us, all of us in Bern, Swiss town. But even there, Winteregg was not a common name. But in this little town of 3,000, my dad and my uncle opened a small restaurant 1 month after I was born. And so I was raised in the restaurant business. And if anyone's been in the restaurant business, it's definitely hard work. And I was raised, I make the joke, and Abby and Neil always laugh at me. I was washing dishes on a flipped over milk crate when I was 4 because I wanted to help, and I was too short to reach the sink. So I just thought it was great. It was hard work, but it was fun. It became the type of restaurant. There were only 3 main places to get food in town. And it was the place that on Sunday, people would line up outdoors after church, after the basketball games, the football games, everybody came in. And I just thought it was great because my brother and I and my mom and dad, we would kind of run one shift. And then my uncle and aunt and my 3 cousins would run another shift. And I just thought it was fantastic. If we wanted to take a week off, we were going to have to work a week. And the restaurant was open from 9 in the morning to 11 at night. And so if you want to take a week off, then we would open and close for a week. And then we could take a week off while my uncle and cousins, they did the same thing. So I decided very early on that I was going to own my own business. I didn't know what it was, but I was going to own my own business. And when Abby talks about perseverance, in 1965, when I was 10, 77 tornadoes hit Indiana in one day. It was Palm Sunday. And one of those tornadoes went right over the top of the restaurant. We were living in a house trailer next to the restaurant. And fortunately, we had gone to see Mary Poppins. And when we came home, everything was gone. The house trailer was gone. My uncle was working at the time. It was a block building. It knocked down 2 block walls. I just can't imagine being in the restaurant when that happened. Fortunately, no one was hurt. But the point of this story is that, interestingly enough, I won't ever forget pulling up out on the highway and everything's gone. I never saw my parents freak out. My dad's like, everybody stay in the car. Let me go make sure no one is hurt. We went into grandma's house, and within 2 years, it might have been 18 months, we had a restaurant that was triple the size. Actually, the restaurant reopened in 10 days. A lumber yard was next to us, and everybody from the lumber yard loved my dad and my uncle, and they came and on the concrete slab where the house trailer used to be, they built a little shed. They moved the grill, they moved the fryers. We opened up the car hop service, and in 10 days, we're back in business. And so, for me, that's what owning your own business is about. It's like figuring it out. When it goes wrong, you got to figure it out. And so that's the hard work and the perseverance. And I was fortunate enough to get into dental school. I graduated from dental school in 1981. And from day one, there was never any doubt that I was going to own my own practice. And so I had classmates go into the military because they would help pay down some of your student loan if you did enough years. They went into associateships. They went into residency programs. And the summer between my third and my fourth year, I drove around northern Indiana, and I had a deal signed to buy a practice by Thanksgiving, Friday after Thanksgiving. And I wasn't going to have my license until the following July, but I steered my course and controlled my own path. And I think for me, that's the message that I want every entrepreneur to get out of this, is that control equals freedom. And I had the freedom because I owned my practice. I could establish the fees, and I could establish my hours. I'm getting a little feedback. Did you?
Yeah, I fixed it.
Okay, good. I established my fees. I established my hours. For example, in this little town of 10,000 where I bought my practice, there were 11 dentists. Now, according to the American Dental Association, there should only be 5. One dentist for every 2,000 people. But it was a county seat, a lot of people coming in and out. I was in a strip mall with a grocery store. So the location was good, but all the other 10 dentists took Friday off. Or excuse me, all the other 10 dentists took Wednesday off. That was just the norm. You work 2 days, you have a day off, you work 2 days. Well, first of all, I started off working 5 days and some Saturdays. And as the practice grew within a year, I'm going to take a day off. And I did not take Wednesday off. I took Friday off. We got a ton of emergencies on those days. So that was a decision that I could independently make. And so for me, owning your own business is about freedom. Now, there is risk that comes along with that. But for me, it's having the freedom to call your own shots, but then there's also that risk. And so being an entrepreneur is a balance of risk and reward. The reward is freedom to come and go, set your own schedule, call your own shots. But then the risk is that, well, there is no safety net. You are your safety net. There's no 401k. There's no paycheck, no matter what happens in the economy, some safe way. And so that's kind of the path that I took, and it's been an absolute blast. And
now I have a question. So, after you had your practice, obviously, and in the early 90s, I was barely 1 year old. Your practice was booming even during a recession. Mm-hmm. And you made the decision, you were offered a partnership at the dental management company that you had been a client at. That's where you learned business basics and how you grew your business. So you were offered a partnership, and obviously we know the punchline that you accepted. But you picked up our family. We moved to Chicago. Like I said, I was a baby. My brothers were still young as well. How did you make that decision? That's a huge risk. A lot of people, you could have literally just coasted and been comfortable. You had already achieved that financial freedom and that time freedom that most business owners are looking for. So how did you decide to kind of like completely change all of our lives?
Well, and that's an awesome question. And even though, you and I have been related here for a few decades, I don't know that you have ever asked that question of me before.
We've talked a little bit about it, but I don't know. I just thought of it while we were talking, because you had, like I said, you had reached that summit that we call it a summit, right? Here at Matterhorn, you have your summit of your mountain, the top of the mountain. and you had reached that summit. And most people you could stay at that summit and hang out. But you decided to go climb a totally different mountain.
Well, and by the time I was 38, to be more clear, I'd built the dental practice up to the point where I was only working about 22 hours a week. I could come and go because I had an office manager trained. I had an associate who had become a 50% partner. I had my first Corvette. We had a great house. I bought a little Cessna airplane. So, I mean, life was pretty good. And I was looking actually at opening up a second location and just kind of like replicating the pattern, but it just wasn't exciting. I call it the Michael Jordan syndrome. You know, Michael Jordan won 3 NBA titles in a row, and then he went off to play baseball, which he enjoyed baseball, and he went off and then he came back. But I guess for me, there really needs to be the next mountain. Otherwise, it's just kind of boring. I mean, at age 38, working 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, our vacations would be 2 weeks long. I was still the executive. I was still the leader of the practice and the visionary. But it's kind of like I'd already climbed that mountain. And so, you know, if you climb the Matterhorn, well, then what else do you do? I guess you could do the Matterhorn again, but you've already done that. Well, let's go find Kilimanjaro or whatever. And so when I was offered the partnership, and not sure everybody will relate with this, but I had no idea the partnership offering from the management company who had trained me was coming. And literally in a 3-hour conversation, it was October of 1993. In a 3-hour conversation, I agreed, and I started on December the 4th. So in 6 weeks, I sold the house, I sold the practice, and we moved to Chicago in the winter. I don't know who does that. But that management company now has become the largest of its kind in North America. Clients in 48 states, half the provinces in Canada, 55,000 square foot training center in St. Petersburg, Florida, just outside Tampa, satellite office in Anaheim. And really, it was about 4.5 years ago, I went to my partner and I'm like, I'm kind of bored. I want to go do this with Matterhorn. And so we kind of restructured everything, and I'm still there 3 days a month. I still shoot video for the online training, but Matterhorn is the new mountain. And what we do here at Matterhorn is we work with general business owners, because the other company is just only with dentists, and we're in that vertical. And I'm just having a blast. I mean, this is so much fun. I turned 65 in June, and outside of Matterhorn, I just started another company last month. Retirement is not in my vocabulary, and all my kids know that, right, Abby?
Yeah.
It really is just about the next mountain, the next game. In the introduction in my book, Fun at Work, I say if it's not fun, I'm not doing it. And it's really kind of funny. I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning thinking about today and everything that I had lined up for today. And I laid there and I kind of smiled. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, dang, I wish it was 8 o'clock. I'm ready to get started on today. There's so much good stuff, cool things that are on my schedule for today. So I don't know. The basic answer to your question, Abby, is it was the next challenge. It was the next game. It was definitely risky. I had never done that before, the dental practice management world. I was a dentist. It took me 8 years to get my degree, 4 years for biology, 4 years for dental school. I've been in practice for 12 years, and I chucked it all to go do something I had never done before. So people there were actually many people who thought I was insane. And they had no problem telling my mom and my dad and my brother just that. But my life is a blast. It is absolutely a blast. I control my time. I control my schedule. I control my game. And so for me, that's what freedom is all about. And yeah, it was a risk, but I always had something to fall back on. So with when I sold my dental practice, I still had my dental license. I'd signed a restrictive covenant. I obviously couldn't go back to that town, but I had plenty of other games that I could play, and I guess I've just always trusted my ability to figure it out. And I guess that's the puzzle for me, is just figuring it out. And so what is so much fun, we just got a new client this morning from Matterhorn, who's a home inspector, and every single client is so different and every situation is so different. And I just interrupted the interview and I just said, dude, I hope it's not too obvious. I'm having a blast right now. You're going to be so much fun to help. And so anyway, my life is a blast. It's just been so much fun. And I'm going to turn the table on Abby a little bit. So you were actually, I think you were approaching your second birthday when I sold the practice.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what has it been like being my kid? What's it been like? Because I've moved the family several times, bought and sold houses. We've changed not just cities, we've changed states. So what's it been like being my daughter?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely gives me a different perspective, especially I think in this day and age when business owners can be demonized sometimes, or making money can be demonized, which we're going to do a separate live stream sometime specifically on that topic.
Yeah.
But I was able to see what you were doing and the hard work that you were putting in behind, like, in order to achieve that freedom of that you achieved by being a business owner. I saw the background, and that it wasn't just sitting back, putting your feet up on the desk. You know, there were a lot of nights where I went to bed and you weren't home yet because you were at the office helping people. And I think the helping part too, I learned a lot about that it's not all about the money or anything like that. It truly is about helping others. And I definitely learned a lot. I was very fortunate to get to work at your company from a young age and I started from the bottom. I was taking out trash and doing Starbucks runs. There was no nepotism there. So I learned what work was, and I learned just like anyone else how to become an executive and what that took. So I think
you also saw it's sometimes 6 and 7 days a week, and there's no set hours.
Yeah.
You work until the job's done.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people who aren't business owners don't see that. They don't see, my favorite coffee shop raised their coffee 10 cents. And then they don't really think about where that 10 cents is going.
Right.
And what the value is that they're getting back from their favorite coffee shop or something. So I think I really learned that by watching you be a business owner. And it's pretty cool now that, like, I'm kind of a third generation. I'm not officially a business owner, but I am running Matterhorn with you.
Absolutely.
And the lessons now that are being passed down through the Winteregg generations, it's pretty cool to think about.
Well, like I learned about hard work in the restaurant business. It's hard. And my dad was never an early riser. He was more of a night owl. So, there was one coffee shop in our little town that opened up at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And now he's going to open at 9.
That's hilarious, because growing up, I would wake up at 7:30 and Grandpa had already been out and brought us home donuts. So something changed there as he got older.
That was after he retired. He didn't have to work until 11 and fall asleep at 12 or 12:30 anymore. When he retired, then he could fall asleep at 9 o'clock on the couch, and then he woke up when he was bored. So he had to go buy you guys donuts. But that's what I saw growing up is that freedom and the hard work, and you've seen it also. And I've never told you this, Abby, but I smile because sometimes on a Saturday or a Sunday, I'll get an email from you on a project that you're working on, and I'm like, all right, that's my girl. These are my
It's
kids.
rarer than you. I get emails from my dad. I wake up to them and I look at the time sent, and it's like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
He's like,
So
oh, I just banged this out in the last couple hours in the middle of the night.
yeah, when I get inspired, I just get up and do it, and then I go back and sleep till whenever, 9 or 10 o'clock or whatever. But at any rate, I'd never asked you that. What's it like being related to me?
Mm-hmm.
You definitely have to be used to change.
Mm-hmm.
But then,
It never bothered me, I guess, because it was normal, and because the company itself was moving, I always had friends moving with me.
right.
That company really is a giant family, so it's
It
not
is.
like I was ever the total new kid in town. It was just kind
Right.
of like, this is how we roll. This is this is our life. Yeah.
Right. And I guess, not to get too far off into the weeds, and I know we don't want this to roll too long, but as far as retirement accounts, investments, I was contacted by the Edward Jones agent within 60 days of opening my dental practice in this little town. And I'm 26 years old. And he's like, so what do you want your retirement to look like? And I'm like, dude, are you serious? That's 40 years from now. And I never, ever in my mind had any concept of retirement. It was always about being a business owner and owning the business beyond retirement and just my role changing. And so I turned 65 in June, and I really don't care what happens in the stock market. I know some people are concerned about this election and what's going to happen to my business if such and so's in the White House, or if this guy wins, I'm in trouble. Or it's like, I have no concern about that. I don't care what happens to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, because I have my businesses and I'm setting my businesses up to run without me. And I'm going to be more of the PR, the face of the company, whatever it might be, whatever role. And so, like I say, I just started a new company last month with a couple of, Neil's actually a partner in that company, another good friend of mine for 25 years. And retirement is not in my vocabulary. I'm having a blast. I'll get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'll work on a Saturday. I'll work on a Sunday. I might work 14 days in a row. But remember, if it's not fun, I'm not doing it. So I am just having the time of my life, and I'm creating these multiple streams of income. So I'm really not going to have my life be dictated by the Dow Jones Industrial Average or what's happening in the real estate market. So for me, that is true freedom. I have control over my life. I have control over my destiny. I have control over my income. And yeah, when things dip, we have to shift. We have to pivot. During COVID, we lost some clients at Matterhorn, but we picked up many more, and we've actually tripled Matterhorn during COVID. And you can just see our numbers. They're just like straight off the chart. So for me, that's what owning your own business is about. And I'll just kind of end off with this, and then Abby, you can have a few comments. But my life would be ugly and boring if on January 1st, I knew how many weeks I was going to work. I had to submit for a vacation. I get 2 weeks, let's say. There's a matching 401k, and it does not matter what that salary is. That can be a 7-figure guaranteed income. I would be miserable on January the 1st because there's no game. There's no risk. I'm in this box, and this is the box, and I'll be able to create a little bit inside this box. We picked up a client not long ago who had that job, great income, 401k, and he walked away from all of it to start his own painting company. And man, do I admire that. He left all that 10 years of experience and career behind. And, man, if you're out there and you're an entrepreneur and you're sitting here and you're wondering, what should I do? Should I take the risk? I'll give you 2 thumbs up. Believe in yourself. Started out part-time, proof of concept. Watch our YouTube videos on Fun at Work and our different playlists. You can do it. And yeah, you're going to fall down and skin your knees and break your nose, but you'll get back up again, and there's nothing better.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So on that note, we've been working very hard behind the scenes on a new program that's going to be a new mentoring program we're releasing. So in the comments, I put a link for the wait list. We're going to be announcing that the first week of December. So stay tuned. If you get on the wait list, you'll be the first to hear. And then, of course, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. We put out 3 videos a week of really awesome content, if I can say so myself. But basically,
I think it's awesome.
Even if it only gets 30 views, we're proud of it and we love it. So make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Stay tuned for our big announcement. And thank you for joining us today. And we will see you soon. Bye.